Hello and welcome to a new pick a card reading. Guys, it's been such a long time. I am so sorry. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. I'm sorry, I had to. Welcome back. We are doing a pick a card reading today that is all about what do you need to purge. Especially after that full moon in Aries that we just had, we're going to get raw and honest with it and really take a look at what needs to go, okay? Where have you reached the end of the road with something? So what do you need to purge? I have prepared 3 piles. We got 3 different decks here. This is pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. I got some rocks on top. Don't ask me what they are. Please, please don't. It's just going to be embarrassing for the both of us. But this is group 1. And we have the Pulp Tarot for group 1. I'm not going to show you. You know what? You'll see it in your group. Then we have group 2. This is your pretty rock. See, like this? I got this one from my grandma. I don't know what it is. She don't know what it is. But it's beautiful. This is the Horror Tarot by Todd Alcott. And then group number 3. I don't even remember where I got this one, but look it's so pretty. This might be red jasper or something. Who knows? But it's vibes. That is group number 3, and that is the Ostera Tarot. So I am going to give you a moment to zone in or zone out, whichever you need in order to figure out which pile is calling you, screeching at you to purge something the most. Timestamps are in the description below, and I will meet you at your reading. Hi group 1, this is your reading if you chose this lovely black rock, which I think might be obsidian, but I don't know. Do you know? Let me know. We're going to set that right up here, and then we're going to get right into your reading. So we are taking a look at what is something that you need to purge at this time. What do you need to release? What do you need to let go of? To start off, we're going to get one singular card for your energy now. Then we're going to get a couple of cards to see what it is that you need to purge. Hopefully we'll get some insight as to why. Then we'll get a card for your energy after you have purged this. And then we'll get some oracle cards and see whatever else we feel like answering. So, Spirit, for group 1, where's their energy at before purging this? Just one card, please. We have the Ace of Wands. Okay. Motivated, excited, ready. So you're ready. Even just the fact that you're group 1, right? You're like, I'm ready. Put me in, coach. I'm ready. And especially with this rock as well. It's very much giving ready to purge. So I see you being very eager here. And what is it that group 1 needs to purge? We have the Fool. You hear the sirens in the back. We have the Hanged Man. Interesting. So even the fact that I said put me in, coach, you might be very much on the lookout for mentorship, for guidance. It feels like, let me get one more here. It feels like you are needing to purge someone constantly confirming or affirming things for you. You hesitate. There's a lot of energy built up in you, but you hesitate. There's a lot of fear that you need to release and a lot of issues around trusting your own guidance. You need to prioritize, and I get the sense that you need to promote yourself in some shape or form. You are deserving of a promotion, because as it is right now, you're very much, like I said, put me in, coach. Like, you are ready to take action towards certain things in life that you want, certain ideas that you have, whether that is in career, whether that is in love, whether that is desires that you have, creative expression. There's something where you have this mindset that you are a beginner, and that's simply not the truth. Those are not the facts. You are actually quite seasoned in something. And I think you are seasoned because maybe you have been sort of teacher's pet. I get the sense that you have been very attentive and very eager about learning something. And so you're kind of like, with this Fool card, you are teacher's pet. You're like, okay, what are we doing next? What are we doing next? And your mentor or the universe itself is kind of like, what do you mean? What are we doing next? Whatever you want to do. And then when you are handed that opportunity, you're like, I don't know. You need to give me a lesson. You need to give me, this is very much about what you need to purge, is the idea that there is a certain way to do things, that there is a certain, and you have a lot of respect for something here, and you want to do it justice. You want to do things the right way. But because of that, you are very hesitant, and your fear holds you back. Strongly, with this death card, I'm getting strong fears of taking wrong actions. And I think that is what you need to purge. The idea that there is a wrong action to take. With the Queen of Swords at the bottom of the deck right now, I get that you have been putting in a lot of effort into educating yourself on something, right? And you think you're still coming at it from a beginner's mind, which is because you're so excited, but that's not coming from a lack of education. Tell me more about this Fool card. We have the Judgment. Yeah, you are playing it small right now because you think you're still a beginner, and that's what you need to purge. You need to purge the fact that it's almost like, think of like different stages of something. You think you are still a rugrat. I don't know why that came through, because I was thinking elementary school, but then immediately my brain went rugrat. You think you're a rugrat in some field, in something that you have been trying to figure out. So that could have to do with, maybe you've never been in a relationship and you feel like you would be a novice in that area. That could be, maybe there's a field of study that you have been drawn to and you think that you don't know enough to present yourself as someone who can teach others. And the truth of the fact is that you, I think, have been overcompensating. I think you are so passionate about something here that you have been spending a lot of energy towards collecting information and collecting insight. And so you feel like you still have something to learn. And Spirit is saying, no, you have to purge. Like, first of all, you're not going to purge the student mentality, okay? I can tell from your energy that you're likely a lifelong learner, that you seek challenges in order to expand your understanding of things. But there is something where you also have to acknowledge your status, because otherwise you're doing yourself and you're doing others a disservice, because you actually have the capabilities of upholding a certain status that you are not granting others. This is making me think of, so I grew up in another country, and we had English classes, but I have an American background, and so I grew up bilingual. And in my English classes, I remember there was a very young teacher that we had once that was very, still blue-eyed and hopeful about creating lasting change in the children or whatnot. And she pulled me aside one day because I'm a Scorpio, so I was super quiet in class. And she pulled me aside one day and she said, "You are doing your peers a disservice by staying silent because you have the privilege of being a native speaker and your peers would benefit from hearing you speak more." And that's coming to mind, is that you are taking something, some skill or some insight that you have, you're taking that for granted and thereby denying others the ability to connect with you over that skill. So that could be, let's say you've learned something and you think, no, I'm still a beginner. There is a teacher that is the right level of knowledge for everything and everyone. Meaning, you can be a teacher that is so knowledgeable and so high in status that you could teach at Yale or Harvard. But does that mean that you have the capabilities to teach someone who is just interacting with the information for the first time? Because the best teachers are oftentimes the people who have just recently learned, because there's not this comfort with the knowledge yet. There is this curiosity and this excitement, and also this excitement of, oh my God, I just figured it out. Let me share this with you. Okay? So you are denying yourself. Something that you need to purge is the idea that you are not refined. That's coming through. You have to purge the idea that you are not refined. You're underestimating your skills. Wow. Straight for the jugular. We have the Three of Wands coming out underneath the Hanged Man, which again, this is what you need to purge, is this idea of you holding yourself back. And with the Three of Wands, you are ready to take action towards something. You are ready to commit to something here. But the Hanged Man is a card of inaction, and that's what you need to purge. The idea of like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. Oh, I'm getting now. This is so random. I'm getting the song Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini. She was afraid to come out of the locker. And then she was afraid to come out of the water because there's just this, first of all, with that, there's this fear of being seen. But if you think about it, you know, it's a tiny bikini, meaning, you know, for a young woman, a girl turning into a woman, it might be a little bit too revealing. So there's this idea of maturity. That's the theme here, is that you feel like you're not mature enough to take on some kind of title or some kind of status. And you need to purge the idea that that is the case, because you are very eager. And that in itself is something that is giving you status. We have the Temperance card. This has everything to do with trust, right? You need to purge some of the fears and trust that you will know how to manage whatever obstacles arise. Tell me about this Knight of Wands. And we have the Nine of Wands. Okay, Four of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, you're holding yourself back. You are absolutely holding yourself back. You are afraid that somebody will test you in a way. You're very, like, teaching or like school, like the structure of school seems to be coming through very strongly here. And it's just the idea of, you know, school is a safe space to learn. And it's very structured. And I think you appreciate that kind of structure, knowing like, oh, if I make a mistake, then I'll be corrected. And I think that you are fearful of the world and having to deal with the consequences of your missteps, because nobody's going to mentor or show you that's not how you do it. The fear that you have is the fact that you have to learn by trial and error. Okay, what is the energy for group 1 after they are able to purge this? I definitely miss doing pick a card readings. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to make a new one. I just got distracted. It was one thing after another, and then I just focused mainly on doing short readings on TikTok and Instagram, but I definitely missed this. Because we get so into it here, don't we? What is your energy at the end of purging this or after purging this? We have the Seven of Wands, and that is you in the action. This is in theory, and this is in action. And so, yeah, you are going to face, look, we have the Queen of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. That's you claiming your status. I love that. Okay. Yeah, you are going to face situations where it's like, oh, this is uncomfortable, or I didn't know that this was going to happen this way. I didn't know I had to be prepared for this. But that's how you learn. That's how you learn. So we are going from sort of the imaginative state to what is actual application of whatever it is that you've learned. And so the Seven of Wands also just makes you so much more seasoned, right? It's these obstacles that you are facing and thereby becoming seasoned. So what you need to purge has a lot to do with the fears that are stoked by perfectionism and the idea of wanting someone else to take responsibility for your growth, which would be, like I said, a mentor, a teacher, somebody that you can go to. And it's totally fine. Mentorship is not a bad thing. But there comes a time where you have to recognize that a mentor can only take you so far, and that the point of it is for you to be able to spread your wings and choose to take flight on your own. And you absolutely want to, with the Fool and the Knight of Wands and with the Ace of Wands here as well. There's something where you've learned, you've gathered a lot of information, and you want to be able to transmute that information and do it your way. Put your own spin on things, right? This is like going to art school and learning all the different techniques. And then comes a day where it's like, okay, now how do you want to use those techniques to create something that is meaningful because it comes from you, not because it follows instructions. Not because it follows what you have been instructed to do. What does group 1 need to purge? We have Mars, we have the second house, Mars and Sagittarius energy. Teaching, again, with Sagittarius energy coming in strong. And then Mars is all about how we take action, right? And so with the second house, we're talking about values. But also when we're talking about the second house, because the first house is the house of self, and then the second house is where the self meets the outside world. It is the material world, right? And that's what we're looking at here. We need to... Also, what you need to purge is the idea that the material world is out to get you, that the material world is going to drag you down. Yes, there are going to be some obstacles, but part of those obstacles, it's kind of fun, right? There are people that do like Tough Mudders and marathons for fun. I don't know why, don't ask me, but there are people that do that. And when it is something that you're passionate about, I know that for me, right, with tarot or astrology, there are ways to become complacent, and then you figure out new ways to challenge yourself. And you want to be challenged, but you have so much respect or so much, to be honest, fear, so many fears around this that you are afraid to face the challenges. It's kind of like prepping for a test and you're like, I'm not ready yet. And it's like, okay, well, the test is, the due date is approaching. Like you gotta make yourself be ready. And that's okay to have those fears, but the thing is that you have to purge the idea that those fears are going to stop you, okay? Because you are holding yourself back here. You are slowing down a process. All right. Is there any blind spots that group 1 needs to be aware of when it comes to purging this? Any blind spots that group 1 needs to be aware of? Whoa. We have intention. Lacking personal direction begets confusion, and life is a pawn to someone else's game of chess. Exactly that. And this is the idea where you put someone else's abilities and capabilities and judgment before your own, whether that is a mentor, a professor, whether that is a guru, whether that is even me right now, right? Putting someone else's judgment, someone else's wisdom above your own just makes you complacent. It kind of siphons. It's a way of you giving your power to that figure instead of using your power to elevate yourself. And so that's what you're being asked to reconsider. What are your intentions when you're seeking someone else's protection, when you're seeking someone else's guidance? At the bottom of the deck, we have Metamorphosis. Power and strength lie within our surrender to change. You are meant to take on some sort of responsibility. So this could also have to do with, let's say, if this has to do with career, this would be you needing to purge the idea that you need comfort and safety over excitement and newness. Because I think there's a lot of energy like building up and it wants to go somewhere. And you're kind of like throttling it. I don't know if that was the right word. Oh, you know what? Let's use this deck. Can we get some insight here on what group 1 needs to purge? We have the Weavers. And one more. And the Diplomat. So the first thing that's standing out to me with the Weavers is that imagine you are a baby spider. There's 2 spiders here. There's one right here and there's one in the net. Imagine that you are a spider and someone has built this net for you and you currently are just remaining on the net because you're like, this is the net that was built for me. I don't know what's beyond that. I don't know if I can trust any of that. This would be a mentor or a guru or someone. And this spider knows I can just build a new net. I can build a net wherever, or web. Sorry, that's what I'm looking for. I can build a web wherever I want to. I can go down here. I can go up there. I can build a web whenever I want. And you have not realized that power in yourself yet. You think you have to stay on this web in order to remain safe, and that because the web is structured, that this is something that you need, that this is where you need to remain to stay within the lines. And you need to realize that you can leave this web and you can build a web wherever you go. You have that superpower within you wherever you go, okay? And then we also have the Diplomat. Now this card is making me think of the ability to navigate different realms. And that is taking me back to the fact that you don't think you have status because you're comparing yourself to icons or ideas of the highest status, and you see yourself down here somewhere. You're not down here. You're definitely somewhere here. And you therefore are the diplomat, the in-between guidance between people that are up here and people that are down here. And that's not a hierarchy, not at all. It's just I'm trying to explain like different areas of knowledge. We're talking a lot about knowledge, but we're also talking about knowledge in terms of understanding the world around us. So this could definitely have to do with spirituality as well, or whatever career field, whatever. There's just something, this doesn't even have to be professional at all. For some reason, I just got the idea of like somebody making content about the kind of books that they love to read, right? And you might feel like, oh, but I'm not smart enough to be talking about the kind of books that I read because they're not smart books or something like that, right? But there's an audience, there's a receptivity that at every stage. There's a receptivity for your level of skill at every level that you find yourself at. And that's what you need to purge, is the idea of I'm not refined enough. Okay, so the diplomat, again, it's like a mediator between two different things, and you look up to a certain group of something, and so you don't see yourself as being part of that. And this is saying it's okay that you're not part of it. You have an understanding that then can bridge towards other parts that don't even want to be there. They just want to be, in your realm. They don't want to be all the way up there where you have put someone or something else on a pedestal. Okay. Let's get you an oracle card from this deck. Are these upside down? Okay. These are all mixed up. Any last considerations or advice for group 1 here? One. Discoveries ahead. All truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. The point is to discover them. And then we have sweet success at the bottom of the deck. Heaven is under our feet as well as over our heads. Sweet success. And that is a number 23, which is a 5, which again, we're talking about changes up ahead of you. And those changes are going to take place once you, especially with this Queen of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck here, as the sooner that you embrace that you have something to share, that you have something of substance to provide, to give. That doesn't mean that it needs to be productive, right? It doesn't have to be productive. It doesn't have to be career related. It can just be you sharing things with your friends. It can just be you finally understanding that you have a wisdom that is helpful to other people. Any last considerations or advice for group 1? We have who's there and protected. So who's there is all about self-reflection. And I think it's interesting that both of these images here we have, we see the back of a person, right? And so this is saying there are discoveries ahead about you discovering yourself. And I think it has everything to do with how you do or do not value yourself, right? So what you need to purge is the fact that you are underestimating yourself. You're undervaluing yourself, and you're perhaps even underselling yourself. And then with protected, this is, of course, saying that there is divine protection around you. But what this makes me think of oftentimes with the bee here is that there are people out there that you are meant to connect with, and those connections are protected, right? Birds of a feather flock together, and bees of a hive, there's no rhyme. But there is something saying that the people that will value your insights are going to value your insights. You don't have to prove yourself to them. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to prove your knowledge. You don't have to prove your ability. It's about just allowing yourself to connect with people in like a very platonic and a very friendly way, because I get this sense that you think if you reach, or if you try to tell someone something, if you try to teach something to someone, that you have to be above them. And this is basically telling you that you don't need to be above anyone. You want to meet them where they're at. But you're looking up to some kind of people that you admire, and you're like, I need to be there. I need to be there. And it's like, no, you don't need to climb up that pedestal and get up there. You just need to turn around and focus on the people that are waiting for you to actually do your thing among your kind. Okay. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really hope it resonates. I hope that it's constructive, that it makes you think a little bit. That's mainly what I'm going for with my readings, right? You're supposed to think. You have homework to do now. You have to reflect on this. But other than that, if you would like some more guidance, even though I just told you gotta step away from the guidance a little bit. But if there are any other areas of your life that you would like some guidance on, book a personal reading. You can do that on my website. The information is linked below. And right now I'm having an early birthday sale because my birthday is on Halloween. So if you use the promo code SPOOKY, I know it's groundbreaking. If you use the promo code SPOOKY on my website, you can get 15% off any reading. So book your reading while you can. Other than that, I promise it won't be as long as it has been until the next pick a card reading. I'm getting back on them, getting back to them, okay? So I will see you soon. Thank you so much for hanging out. Take care. Hi, Group 2. This is your reading if you chose this lovely rock. Let me give you a close-up here. Gorgeous. There's like a green tint in there. And this is your reading. We're going to jump right into it. So we are asking Spirit, what is it that you need to purge? We're going to start off with a singular card for your energy before you purge this. Then we'll get some cards on what it is that you need to purge. Then we'll get another card on your energy after you purge this. And then we'll close it out with some oracle cards and see what else needs to come out. All right, so Spirit for Group 2. What does Group 2 need to purge? What does Group 2 need to let go of? What is their energy before this purge? What is their energy before this? We have the Devil. Oh my. Let's see. This could go many ways. That was 2 cards that flipped over. We're going to do one at a time, please. What does Group 2 need to purge? Okay, so with the Devil, first card first word that's popping out at me is the fact that this card says sex, obsession. Those are the first 2 things that popped out at me. So obsession, I think more so. Okay. Can we do one at a time, please? I get the sense already just in the way that the cards are coming out that you are trying to hold on to a lot of things. The Devil card is typically talking about unhealthy attachment. So it could be that there is actually quite a few things that you need to purge because you're holding on to too many things out of control. We have the Ace of Wands. And look at how literally he's gripping. That hand is gripping on. We have the Magician. What does Group 1 need? Group 2, sorry. But it's funny that I just said Group 1 because the Death card came out in the same position for Group 1, but upright. It came out in reverse for you. And then the Knight of Cups. Oof, you are gripping onto things. So I think it's quite fitting that we're talking about what do you need to purge, because I think you're really refusing to let certain things go. You think that you can manifest new life into something. We have the Six of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Spirit is asking you to keep in mind that everything in life is about give and take. And just because you want something so badly, or want something to work out, or want something to grow, I feel like there's something that you want that is, you are holding on to it so tightly that you are suffocating it. And what's crazy is that in that process, you don't realize that you're suffocating yourself. Wow, that is intense. You need to release, and I will say, because the first word here is sex, and then the Ace of Wands, those are very sensual cards. And even with the Magician, and then we have the Knight of Cups, which is emotional bravery. There may be a need for you to release some kind of physical addictions, like it doesn't even have to be a full-blown addiction, but it could just be something that you use as a crutch, something that you depend on, a substance or a behavior, a pattern, something that allows you physical relief, but that isn't actually helping you heal. So that could even be treating symptoms, right? Using pain medications to just dull down pain instead of healing it from its root cause. Take that only if it resonates, but there is definitely something here where you are fighting off some kind of inevitable realization of something not being sustainable anymore. It could have to do with your health. It doesn't have to. But I do think I'm getting a lot of like very physical energy here. And with the Knight of Cups, it's telling me that there is a deep need for emotional bravery here of facing what it is that you need to release, in terms of you think that this is something that you cannot live without. And this can be many things. This I feel like there's some crutches that you have. And that can be quite literally a device, something that you use in order to occupy yourself, or something that you use in a way to, for example, and this doesn't have to be accurate at all. This is really just a metaphor that I'm seeing in my mind. But it's kind of like when, let's say, somebody got a surgery on their knee, and they are instructed to heal and then to start physical therapy, right? And then when physical therapy starts, you start walking with, like, let's say, a walker or literally a crutch. And it's this feeling of not trusting your healing process to carry yourself on your own. And so you don't put any weight on your leg because you're like, no, my knee is messed up. My knee is messed up. And then you internalize that. And then you start to become so dependent on your crutch. This was a conversation that I recently had with someone at the grocery store. This was this older lady, and we're talking about the fact that I don't remember why we had this conversation, but she was telling me that her doctor told her that once people get those walkers, that their abilities decline so much because they start to rely on those walkers for everything. And that's what I'm seeing here. There's something that was a means for you to subdue some kind of pain, some kind of discomfort. This could have also been, I'm getting now, after a breakup. This could even be tarot readings, right? I know you and I know that I don't do the unhealthy kind, but I know that there's lots and lots out there that are very constructive and some that just keep you stuck, right? It's a big spectrum. So this could be, there's definitely an element of gripping onto control here, and you're meant to purge whatever it is that you are using as a crutch to numb yourself from experiencing some kind of loss, some kind of ending, some kind of pain. Let's get some more cards here. Tell me about this Ace of Wands. We have the Four of Wands. Yeah, you have this idea of like, I can't be stable without this. But with the Magician, that's telling me that you have created that circumstance in some shape or form, or at least contributed to it. We have the Ace of Cups. Now, this could definitely have to do with you depending on certain people. There may be some people that you are keeping in your life. This may be a relationship, this may be friendship, this may be family members that you are keeping in your life because you think, I cannot function without them. And therefore you think, if I just try hard enough, then I can make up for any kind of imbalance here. That's why we saw the Six of Pentacles, because Spirit is really like, you need to consider, what are you getting out of this? Tell me about the Death card in reverse. There's a real issue around letting something die here. I'm getting a song lyric, and I haven't heard the song in ages, so I might butcher it, but I'm hearing impermanence is permanently with me. But you're actually trying to avoid it. You're trying to avoid some kind of impermanence, whether that is a friendship ending, a relationship ending. It could be even like fears around mortality, fears around your health, and you're avoiding it. And therefore, because you're avoiding it, it's constantly with you. Impermanence is permanently with me. Tell me about this Death card in reverse. We have the Ten of Wands. Yes, exactly. Who will carry the burden? You're like, well, if I release this, who will carry the burden? Like, you think that, poor Quasimodo here. Quasimodo? Quasimodo. You think that if I'm not the one that's constantly keeping things at bay, then it's going to surprise me someday. But in the meantime, what you're doing is living with that impermanence constantly. It's almost like, if we take it literal and see this as a fear of death, right? A fear of endings. It's kind of like you're constantly like, oh, this is it. Oh, this is it. Oh, this is it. And imagine if you're doing that, like maybe you're afraid. Let's try and keep it a little simpler, okay? Let's say this is a fear around death, and it sort of it makes itself most visible in a fear of losing your pet, right? Like you're afraid of your pet dying someday. Imagine every day you're like, oh my God, my cat's gonna die today. Oh my God, my cat's gonna die today. Oh my God, my cat's gonna die tomorrow. You're wasting all of those days being fearful around the ending that has not occurred. And that's costing you a lot of energy with this Ten of Wands. And that is what Spirit is saying you need to purge. Because you cannot anticipate when things are going to end, and you cannot stop them from ending either. There's big control issues in this energy. The Knight of Cups is talking about emotional vulnerability, and emotional vulnerability includes the fact that we don't have control over things, but we still have to be willing to be open and attach ourselves. We have the Tower at the bottom of the deck, and that's this idea of like you're constantly trying to anticipate things that you simply cannot anticipate them. We have the Eight of Pentacles coming out with the Knight of Cups. This is saying that you're going to have to practice this on a daily basis. Practice this on a daily basis. Meaning, facing your fears and facing the fact that, I think there's a fear of being vulnerable with things that may leave your life at some point. And this Eight of Pentacles is telling me, like, yes, you're going to have people or situations that come into your life and that then exit your life again, but you will have those experiences. Those cannot be taken away from you. But if you taint the experiences before they can even take place, then you sort of, you exclude yourself from living here. What is your energy after you purge this? Oh, it's two cards. One at a time, please. Absolutely. I like this. I like this because Spirit is not saying that you absolutely have to change who you are. With this Two of Pentacles here, this is about just understanding that not everything is in your control and not everything needs to be in your control, and that there are good things that are going to happen and that there are bad things that are going to happen, especially because we have the Ace of Pentacles here. This is also saying that you need to focus more on being grateful, showing gratitude towards the things that do work out instead of expecting the worst, because you are definitely trying to grip onto control that is absolutely an illusion, and that is just a crutch that keeps you from fully experiencing what's in front of you. What you also need to purge is the idea that you can make certain people love you. That's coming through strongly with the Magician and the Ace of Cups. Because I'm getting like this, being called to the imagery of when in Aladdin, when the genie comes out of the bottle or out of the lamp and is telling Aladdin all the wonderful things he can do, but then he's like, but I do have rules. I can't bring anyone back from the dead, and I can't, oh, that's very fitting in general. I can't bring anyone back from the dead, and I can't make anyone fall in love with you. And Aladdin is like, yeah, that's fine. But then later, he totally wants those things, right? And so there is this feeling of you being like, ooh, but what if because the thing is, when you mess with those universal laws of you cannot make someone love you and you can't bring anyone back from the dead, what happens when we mess with those universal laws? That's when you get stuff like Pet Cemetery, right? You create a little Frankenstein, because the things that you manifest, the things that you try to force into your will, they're not going to be pure. They're not going to be effortless, right? And so the energy shift that we see here when you are able to purge some of this need for control and some of this relying on numbing yourself and allowing yourself to be more affected by what you feel and more affected by the rawness and the chaos of the world around you, it puts you in a position to be more appreciative of the things that do work out, the things that do stay. And it puts you in more of a flow state versus in a state of trying to control things and feeling like you have nothing under control, because you don't. Because that's just how the universe works. Okay, we have the 6th house, we have Capricorn energy, and we have Mars. This seems very exhausting because you are constantly trying to keep things together. I'm seeing like a sand castle, and let's say you built a sand castle and the tide is coming in and you're like, no, you're like trying to build walls to protect everything, and you just have to accept that the wave is gonna come and it's gonna carry away what it carries away, and you can rebuild after that. You've done it before. This is really a lot of gripping onto what is. With Capricorn energy, it's very material energy. And with the 6th house, this is exhausting you and it's affecting your health. Again, for some of you, your health is very much being affected by your inability to relax. And that's not to say, oh, you need to relax and that's going to cure whatever ailment you have. That's not the case. But you definitely contribute to your overall well-being if you're able to be more in a flow state, right? But with the 6th house, because the 6th house is about our physical body, I definitely am seeing like a repetitive theme of your physical body being affected in some way. And with Mars, again, you may be not exerting your body to its full capabilities because you don't trust it. And you may also be numbing yourself with some kind of substances or some kind of actions, right? We're talking about sex. We're talking about maybe doing some kind of habits, like there's some kind of exercises or something that you do where you're just, exerting too much control over your body and not allowing it to be what it wants to be. So this also could look like putting yourself on a super strict diet or regimen, workout regimen that is just not conducive to well-being, but you think it's conducive to health. And really what you're doing is exerting a lot of power and control over your body because it comes probably from a psychological place. That's why, eating disorders, anything like that, I'm sorry, there's no trigger warning, but if this has to do with some kind of eating disorders, we're looking at control issues here. And those can express themselves in many ways. And so really what I think is very necessary for you is to show gratitude for the ways in which things are working, things are responding properly in terms of your physical body. If we're not talking about your physical body, it's really about you struggling on a daily basis to maintain control. And the moment that you sort of release the idea of maintaining control, you're a lot more flexible, right? I'm now thinking of, there are those super, super tall buildings that inside of them have or at least there's one, I don't know where it is or what it's called, but there is this super, super tall building, and inside of it, it has this giant ball that swings, and it can be quite terrifying because the building is so tall, and when you're on it, you feel that swing, and it's like, oh my God, this is so unsafe. But the ability of that building to sway is actually what makes it safe. Because if it did not have that ability, it would be much more dangerous because it would break with too much wind and then the whole building would collapse. I hope that I didn't do a great job explaining that part, but I hope you know what I mean. Okay. Any blind spots that group 2 needs to be aware of when it comes to purging whatever this is? You definitely need to purge some of your rigidity. And that takes me back to the idea of physical training with an injured knee, right? We need to work on flexibility and mobility here. Any blind spot that group 2 needs to be aware of? All right. Forgiveness. Hurt blocks our light. And then at the bottom of the deck, we have transitions. You have all of the inner resources that you need to cross whatever bridges arise on your path. Forgiveness is also about being able to forgive yourself. But we're also talking about flexibility here, because a lack of forgiveness is this feeling of being rigid and being like, no, I can never forgive you, right? Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to forgive people who have done you wrong, but there's just something about, I think what you need to purge has a lot to do with your heart chakra. There's some heart chakra things that need to be addressed here. There's some blockages there. There's a lot of fear of vulnerability. There's a lot of fear of flexibility. And it may come from a place, again, we're talking about control, but it may come from a place of maybe when you were younger, there were lots of situations where you were put in a vulnerable position and you had no one else to protect you. And so you had to maintain your own protection. And so now you've become, you could have also just happened recently, you've become rigid and I'm thinking of a callus, but I know that the word can mean something more negative. I'm thinking more so of like a callus on your skin, right? When your skin becomes rough, you grew thick skin because of some kind of friction. But it's time to let that skin soak in a hot bath and exfoliate it so that you can be soft and vulnerable again and not have to be so rigid. Get some more oracle cards for you, group 2. We have the Bard. That was 2 cards. Can we get one at a time? And the graveyard. Wow. Exactly that. Okay, so that is making me very much think about enjoying the joys of life in the face of endings and death, right? That death card that we saw in reverse, that you have a hard time letting go of something. And the graveyard, this came through in a general reading a couple weeks back, the idea that with a graveyard, you're able to return to this, right? Anything that you lose, that you have to give up, that you have to part ways with. And that's what I said about this Eight of Pentacles here as well, is that you still have those memories, you still have those experiences, those are yours. And I know that doesn't make up for a significant loss, but there is something here about having the ability to appreciate something for what it is and for what it was. And with the Bard, we're talking about celebration. We're talking about transmuting experiences into joyous entertainment here, because we have this singer, right? But we're really talking about expressing yourself in a vulnerable way, and that came through with the Knight of Cups as well. This is the duality of life, the absence of life and the existence of life. But I think that currently the way that you have your grips in control, or some of the fears that you are facing around your physical health, put you in a certain limbo, right? And I'm telling you right now, we will not tolerate you choosing the wrong side, okay? You are choosing life, so live it. You are not meant to spend your life in limbo. Any last considerations or advice for group 2? You cannot control it, so put your hands up. And I was thinking of like a roller coaster. Life is a roller coaster. You just got to ride it. So don't fight it. Life is a roller coaster. Just got to ride it. We have reach higher. The greater danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. Exactly. You are trying to, because you only want to be emotionally available to what you believe is within your control, you are not emotionally available to barely anything. So you are aiming way too low when it comes to emotional experiences in life right now. And I'm not judging you one bit for it, because there's a lot of fear of loss attached to this. And there's a lot of probably very valid concerns when it comes to your own well-being. But Spirit, this is asking you to purge. This reading is asking you to purge some of your melancholy. There's a lot of melancholy here, and there's a lot of hopelessness. And Spirit is saying, please focus on the bright side. I'm getting that always look on the bright side of life. And that song is, you know, in the Monty Python movie, is at the end when Jesus is literally on the cross. It's like the worst possible outcome. And he's like, meh. I mean, it's a joke, but still, he's like, meh, gotta stay positive. And that's what Spirit wants for you. That even if you are facing head on the illusion of control and understanding the fear and the bravery that you have to process in order to accept that you do not have control, especially when it comes to your well-being and your health, that there are certain circumstances that will never be under your control. Facing that, your armor is going to be hope. The armor that protects you is going to be hope and gratitude, because otherwise the battle is already lost, okay? I feel strongly that there's somebody here that really, really needs to know that it is worth being hopeful for. that your journey ahead of you, if you are having some severe either depressive episode or severe health issues, that you need to armor up. And I know it's exhausting doing that all on your own, doing that when you're at the bottom, but there you have no other option. Okay? Any last considerations or advice for group 2? Okay, so what we're purging, group 2, is our hopelessness, our need for control, purging our rigidity. Yeah, look at that, trust. We have Queen and trust. Okay, so if we think about a queen, we're talking archetypes. The archetypes are typically gender stereotypes. However, within the frame of archetypes, this is important. The queen is typically the more benevolent leader, the more maternal leader, right? And there is room for pain and hurt. A queen is someone who addresses her kingdom with compassion and not just this cold-hearted, well, this is what we got to do, these are the facts, and we can't change this, and we got to maintain control over this. A queen is a lot more compassionate. You need to be more compassionate towards yourself. You need to allow yourself to experience things even if there is a real potential for loss and hurt. You still deserve to experience life, okay? And then trust, I mean, do I even have to say it? It's pretty obvious that Spirit is asking you to trust in yourself and to understand that even if things are not within your control, that there is a greater benefit to gain from experiencing things that are chaotic and that are sometimes disorienting, right? Look at the background of this card. The waves are going crazy, and yet this person, the skeleton, is able to maintain things within balance because of their flexibility versus this, which is a need for control. All right, this was a heavy one, group 2. I am sending you so much love and support. You have absolutely got this, because you know what? You have no other option. That's the one part that I can guarantee you in terms of you want control. I can tell you, you are backed up against a wall. And there is no other way in this direction, which is, you know, the direction that you are facing is up against the wall, and it's hopeless, and it feels safer of like, well, at least I know that this is where the wall is. Babe, you need to turn around, because if you turn around, you can see that there are places to grow and things to experience. And staying on the wall, being a little wallflower, that's not an option here. Okay? You got this. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really hope that this resonates and that it's constructive. Give it some time. Have some compassion with yourself. This is intense. But I do hope that it provides you a little bit of guidance, a little bit of grounding. If you would like further guidance, feel free to book a personal reading with me. You can do so on my website only. It is linked below in the description. Also, I do have a sale going on right now. My birthday is on Halloween, so I have a little early birthday sale. If you use the promo code SPOOKY on my website, you can get 15% off any reading, so go book a reading. That sale will be up until November 1st, so hope I get to read for you again sometime, and until then, take care. Hi Group 3, this is your reading if you chose this lovely red stone, which again, I think it's red jasper, but could also be something else. Who knows? Definitely root chakra vibes though. So what's going on? We are going to take a look at what do you need to purge for that purpose, we're going to start off with a singular card and take a look at where your energy is at right now or before you purge whatever it is that you need to purge. Then we'll get some cards that will tell us what it is that you need to purge. And then we'll get one singular card to take a look at what your energy will be like after you purge that. And then we'll pull some oracle cards and see what else we can get. So, Spirit, for group 3, what does group 3 need to purge and where are they currently at? What is their energy at this time before they do this necessary purge? Oh, we have the World. Lots of potential. Maybe a little bit of overwhelm. Let's see what's going on. What does group 3 need to purge? We're going to do one at a time, please. The cards are testing me today. We have the Strength card, talking about test. Strength card is the first card out. I'm immediately getting the sense that you feel like the world is against you. We have the King of Wands. We have the Five of Wands. Yeah, very contrarian energy here. Get one more. And we have the Seven of Wands. So defensive. Which I'm sure you have reason. I'm sure you've had some rough experiences, especially if we take a look at her here. She's seen some stuff, right? She's gone through battle and she knows how to protect herself. So what I'm getting in terms of what you need to purge is that perhaps you have been in fight or flight mode. Perhaps you have been in survival mode. And I think that is ending. I think, especially because we have the Star at the bottom of the deck right now, I think you are entering a phase of healing where you don't need to be on your toes as much. Because I see you being as very reactive, and that's what Spirit is saying you need to purge. You need to purge there's some sensitivity here. Very inflamed. You're very inflamed. Quite fired up. I think maybe you've gone through a time period where you've really had to stand up for yourself and sort of, you know what I'm hearing? Dogs that bark don't bite. I think, like, I'm getting the sense, I feel like I'm almost hearing like a dog barking, just like yapping. I'm getting the sense that you're very sensitive. You know those dogs where it's kind of like they're understimulated, and because they're understimulated, they're like overly sensitive and they just don't stop barking. They like bark at everything. That's what I'm getting here. And I mean no judgment with that whatsoever, but that's just how I'm able to read the energy. It's like you're constantly ready for battle. You're constantly ready to start something. But that seems very exhausting. Like you are very much in survival mode, very much in like you're very overstimulated, super overstimulated. But it's funny because I said about the dog, it comes from a place of understimulation, right? So I do think that it's almost like your spidey senses are turned up and everything is just overstimulating. That's why we got the World card as well. I think you're overstimulated. There's something here where you really just need to be able to, I'm also getting that you need to be able to sleep. You're not allowing yourself to fully rest because you're kind of like, I got this. I'm watching out. You are definitely in survival mode. You are definitely, it could be that you are burnt out from work, from other things. You're very, very exhausted. You're running on fumes. There's some kind of hostility that you need to purge, some kind of anger that needs to come out. And in order to transmute that, it needs to either be expressed or it needs to be felt. But it definitely needs to come out, because you may have been internalizing that, and that is putting you in a place of being overstimulated, or being sort of feeling like you constantly have to look over your shoulder, like you're constantly waiting for someone to attack. And it's because there's some kind of anger, some sort of hostility that has been inside of you that needs to come out. You're having a hard time resting. You're having a hard time settling down. You also may have been moving a lot. You may have been keeping your body busy a lot. I feel like you need to take a bath. Not because you smell, but because you need to soak in water. You need to soak in comfort. You need like a weighted blanket or something. I'm getting like restless legs. I'm getting, even when you sleep, even in your dreams, you're constantly on the go. It feels like you get the sense of, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. And it's like, there's so much resting on you, looking out for others. You may have a lot of responsibilities. You may be, to be honest, you might be a single parent. You might be taking care of others in your household. You might, and in terms of that, that's not just something you can purge, right? But you need to understand when you are about to burn out and how to navigate that. Let's get some more cards. Tell me about this Strength card. Because there's something where you're very prideful about doing it on your own. We got the 9 of Wands. So exhausted. You're so exhausted from doing it on your own and having your own back. But you also feel like there's no other choice. That's what I'm saying. Even at nighttime, you don't get rest. And for that purpose, I think what you need to purge is the idea that stressing out is going to help anything. Because you need to rest. Like, you need to be able to let go of those burdens so that you can regenerate. We have the 2 of Wands coming out underneath the King of Wands. Oh, you're so exhausted. You're so exhausted and you're feeling so caged in. Tell me about this 5 of Wands. The 2 of Pentacles. Give me one more here. I'm sensing that you have definitely had to have your own back. You're in survival mode, but because of that, you are extra sensitive. You are overstimulated. And so the smallest things can really set you off. And with this 2 of Pentacles, you're being reminded to understand that there is bullshit that comes from malice, from bad intentions. And there's bullshit that comes from just the chaos of life, right? That is just regular schmegular bullshit that we all have to face. And so I think it's important that you take time to distinguish the difference of what it is that you're dealing with. Because as of right now, I think whenever something happens, because you are so sensitive and so burnt out and so overstimulated, you take everything personal. And again, I can't judge you for that, but you need to find a way to regulate yourself so that it doesn't feel personal, because it isn't always personal. Now, I know some of you are going to argue with that. I can feel it already of like, no, like these people only want to, they want to see me down on the ground. I don't know what I'm hearing, but I'm hearing a lot of like, no, there's people that, this person has done this to me. This person has done that to me. There are a lot of ways in which people will directly affect your well-being with their actions, and it feels deeply personal, but it's not. It's just them living out their projections, them living out their patterns. But I think that you currently are in a state of hypersensitivity, and there's no room for you. When we are in survival mode, everything is black or white. And that's why we see the Two of Wands. Excuse me, let me take a sip of water. I feel like the smoke from this candle is getting to me. That's why we see the Two of Wands and the Two of Pentacles, because you're experiencing things in a very dual nature, and you're very much, it's either or. You're either my friend or you're my enemy. You either have my back or you're no use to me. And that black and white thinking is because you are in survival mode, because you have had to minimize the time that you spend on making decisions because there are more pressing things that you have to get to. Okay, so it's totally understandable, but it's not sustainable. Survival mode is not a place that we can stay in for an extended period of time. It is something that helps us in the moment, but we have to be able to get ourselves out of that place. Tell me about the Seven of Wands. With this Five of Wands coming out with the Two of Pentacles, I think Spirit is also saying that it's important that you recognize when is something worth your anger. When is something worth the cost that it's going to take, the peace of mind that it's going to rob you of. We have the Temperance card coming out with the Seven of Wands. And the Seven of Wands is an energy of defensiveness, of having to overcome obstacles. With the Temperance card and this Two of Pentacles, we're talking about flow. We're talking about acceptance. This is very much a reminder of there are just stages that you have to go through. And that doesn't mean that you're necessarily deserving of, this exhaustion or this burnout that you're feeling, but that you have to establish a sense of peace where you are at right now for yourself. You cannot wait until peace finds you. You cannot wait until peace is delivered to you. You have to make peace for yourself. What is Group 3's energy after this purge? One at a time, please. We have the Four of Pentacles. At the bottom of the deck is the Emperor. There we go. Okay. All right, so this Four of Pentacles, we're going from the World card to the Four of Pentacles, and this World card, honestly, is giving me this feeling of overstimulation, of overwhelm, and then with the Four of Pentacles, we're focusing only on what is necessary, only on what matters. Here, it's kind of like, oh my God, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. With this Four of Pentacles, especially because in this deck, there is this rabbit that is like at the helm of a ship. It's about steering your attention in the right direction and understanding, because a ship only has so much space, right? And in order to get a ship to move through choppy waters, sometimes you have to outrun a storm. I'm talking like I know how to work a ship. I don't. I've watched Pirates of the Caribbean once, okay? That's about it. But I'm thinking of the idea of when you're trying to outrun a storm on like a sailboat, whatever. Anyways, sometimes you have to get rid of some of the stuff on the ship in order to lose some weight so that you can glide faster, right? And so that's what this card is all about not having more than we need with us in order to brave the journey. And so I think you have lost a lot of things, and you are facing a lot of different areas of obligation and of trying to maintain like some semblance of control. But with this Emperor card at the bottom of the deck, this is telling me that in order for you to get back into actual control and not just this hypersensitivity, which again, no judgment with that, but to move away from this hypersensitivity and towards a place of actually feeling more in control of your facilities again, you have to focus on what matters right now and what does not. What supports me right now and what does not. What is worth me being upset about and what is not. Because I get the sense that you are overly reactive to a lot of things. And that's not to say that you don't deserve to be mad at certain people or certain situations when they piss you off. But it's kind of like, imagine you've had the worst day and everything is just irritating. And then you go to the grocery store, you just want a snack and you get yourself some ice cream, and then you get in line and there's only one line open and the person in front of you just takes forever. And you get aggressive, you get angry, your heart is pumping because the person in front of you is taking forever, they're giving the cashier a hard time, and it's like in that moment you are putting so much stress on yourself by getting irritated even more versus just accepting that, all right, well, I'm stuck behind this person, I just gotta wait till this is figured out, and just allowing your body to rest in that moment, because you're gonna be able to pay for your ice cream when you're gonna be able to pay. And being angry doesn't make that time frame any shorter, right? So this is really about sort of controlling either anger or frustration. You may need to find a way to channel that. And honestly, especially with the King of Wands, we're typically talking about finding a creative channel for it. So putting it into writing, putting it into artwork, putting it into something, into dance. There's something where you are just so, like, your antennas, everything is like hypersensitive. You need to get back into your body, you need to ground your body, you need to feel your body again. And you need to relax. And I know that's not helpful when somebody tells you just to relax, but the Temperance card is definitely saying that you need to just sort of understand how to maintain peace in the face of irritation. That's your challenge here. And so what you need to purge is the idea that you still need to remain in survival mode. The survival mode needs to end because it's burning you out. We have the 5th house. Now, trust me, I'm not a parent, but the 5th house is the house of children. I understand the exhaustion that comes with having children, and that could very well be where you're at. So if that should be the case, if you're feeling this kind of burnout and exhaustion, and I think I mentioned that earlier, right? That somebody here might be a single parent, then you need to find a way to be able to establish support systems in your life that help you. And whether that is, you know, I know that family is a privilege and not everybody's family is willing or able to help. If that's not the case, then we need to find peers. We need to find support groups around us that can help us lighten the load, because you are not proving anything by burning yourself out. So we have the 5th house, we have Sagittarius energy, and we have Mercury energy. You definitely need to transmute some of this energy into something creative as well. The 5th house is the house of joy, children, self-expression, creative expression, also the house of romance. And we have a lot of fire and a lot of passion here. So honestly, you need to get back into your body. If that means, if there is a way that you can engage with some physical intimacy in a supportive, like trusting kind of way, that would definitely be a way for you to sort of get back into your body. But that's not the top priority. It's more so about being able to express yourself, especially with Mercury energy, to put your frustrations and your fears down on paper or down on the canvas, to create something with it so that you don't have to constantly be on high alert. Let's get you some oracle cards. Spirit, any blind spots that group 3 needs to be aware of when it comes to purging this? Survival mode. Oh, that was a whole stack. One at a time, please. I don't know what's going on today. All right, we have 2 cards. We have voice and sharing, absolutely. At the bottom of the deck is inner integration. There is peace, equilibrium, and fulfillment in integrating the inner wild with the taming and tempering effect life has on us. So with voice, that is connecting to Mercury and the 5th house, you definitely are meant to express this. You may have been holding in some kind of resentment towards someone or a particular situation. It's eating you up. You need to let it out. This says you are here to be known, so speak and be seen. And in sharing, there is giving and receiving in giving. This is going back to trying to find a community that will help you, because you have very much been in the survival mode of, I need to do it all on my own. I need to do it all by myself. And trust me, I understand that. But you need to, the idea of survival mode is, how can I help myself survive? Again, this is not sustainable. And so what you need to do next in order to survive is find a way to live and react to life around you in a more sustainable way, which has everything to do with allowing yourself peace and allowing yourself to be supported. So you need to seek out that support. And let other people in, and also let them in, because the strength card being the first card out in terms of what you need to purge is the idea of like, I got this, right? I'm fine. I don't need anyone's help. No, you need to release that idea. Oh, that fell to the ground. We have the well. Get one more. And then we have the revelry. Wow, look at the difference in those two, right? So with the well, we're talking about isolation, and especially emotional isolation, because the well has water all the way at the bottom, versus the revelry is about celebrating together in community. And especially that card coming out over the sharing card, where we have a group of women sharing fruit and food, and there's children in the back. That's the same idea here of coming together to live together and to experience together, versus the well being very isolated, very recluse, and keeping your emotions really far down, right? Pushing them down. And so you're definitely being challenged to reintegrate. Again, you've been in survival mode. You've probably been isolating yourself. You're being challenged to reintegrate in some way, and to be brave with this 4 of Pentacles here as well. To be brave. Any last considerations or advice for group 3? We have abundance. Everything you need has already been supplied. At the bottom of the deck, we have clarity, time to work out the details, achieve your dreams. Okay, so I get the sense that maybe the statement of everything you need has already been supplied is probably a little bit triggering to you, because you feel like, oh, what do you mean? I've just been scraping by. What do you mean? I've just been... But even the fact that you had the World card as your current energy, you have it all. You have it all. It's just a matter of you allowing yourself to not have to be the sole aggressor here. I don't know why that came through, but there's just something about you needing to allow yourself to settle down again. You've been running, and you need to settle. Everything you need has already been supplied is this idea of everything I need is something that I already have the power to supply myself. And especially coming out right next to the well, where I was talking about the water being down below. And here she has this, she is carrying this water, Jesus, can't talk, on top of her head. And it's splashing out, which is very much giving Ace of Cups vibes, right? It's about putting yourself out there again, which at this point in time, you are so burnt out and so exhausted, you would be too sensitive because you would think everything is a danger. You would read everything as a danger. I'm seeing like these fireworks, like that is almost like, you know, if you're hypersensitive, that would give you PTSD, just as a metaphor. And so you need to be able to integrate more peace and calm so that you can then reintegrate yourself in situations that may be overstimulating. That doesn't mean you have to put yourself into situations that are overstimulating, but the world is an overstimulating place. And you have to understand how to regulate your mind so that you can deal with it and not feel so burnt out every time you have to interact with it, because you want to interact with it. Okay. Spirit, any last considerations or advice for group 3? We have psychic eye. Yeah, you are hypersensitive because you're very, like I kept saying earlier, like your antennas, your spidey senses, you're very sensitive to shifts. And because of that, you sense a lot of things, and then you're like trying to be overly prepared for things. So overall, this reading might be telling you what you need to purge is your defensiveness, because your sensitivity is not a fault. Your sensitivity is a power. So you may have some very intense psychic abilities, but you don't know how to regulate your emotions so that you can use them in a productive way. Now with the lion, we're going back to the strength card. It's about training those abilities. This is about also protecting yourself. And trust me, this is, things are kind of making more sense now, because not only are you in survival mode, but you probably have also dealt with throughout your life hypersensitivity. You know, people call it a highly sensitive person or an empath. And because of that, people who have that sensitivity, they like to isolate themselves, because if we don't know how to manage all of the input, we'd rather just isolate. That used to be me. That used to be me before my spiritual awakening. And it took my spiritual awakening in order for me to recognize I'm not just a sensitive, whiny little baby. I actually have real abilities that I did not know how to control. And once I understood how to protect myself from other people's energies, then I realized, oh, okay, now I can rejoin people in a way where their energies don't suck the life out of me and I remain in control. That's absolutely what this reading is about. It's about other people, and also not just other people, but life itself being so overstimulating for you. And it's because you have a hypersensitivity towards certain things. There might be, you might be claircognizant, clairaudient, clairvoyant. You may have some of those abilities and you might not even be aware, because it's not something that you get a notice in the mail about. You just, you go hang out with people and you come home and you get a migraine. You feel exhausted, you feel burnt out, because you don't realize the boundaries between other people's energies or the information that you're receiving, and how to navigate that. And that just takes practice, that just takes assertion. But again, because that is difficult to understand how to manage, most people just self-isolate. And so if that is you, I can tell that you are trying to self-isolate, but that life is still always pushing you out there, always pushing you back out there. And that makes you really sensitive to experiences and very defensive. And really what you just need to learn is how to assert your boundaries, how to assert your energetic boundaries, how to not internalize other people's energies. And the more that you practice that, the more you can go back out there and feel like you are secure and not having to hide away and not having to be at the whim of your sensitivities. So yeah, that is what you need to purge. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I really hope that it resonates, that it's constructive, that it gives you a little bit something to reflect on. If you would like some more guidance, feel free to book a reading with me. My website is linked in the description below. I also am currently having an early birthday sale. My birthday is on Halloween, and so I'm giving you 15% off any reading from now until November 1st with the promo code SPOOKY. Spooky. Very, very innovative considering it's Halloween, but it's easy. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I do hope I get to read for you again sometime. Until then, take care.